My name is Alyssa Abraham, and I'm an account manager at JumpFly.
What initially drew you to marketing, and how did that journey lead you to JumpFly?
Well, that is a very interesting question, and it's one I'm kind of excited to answer because my journey actually started in the 16th century. Some of my colleagues, probably all of my colleagues, know that I have a PhD in art history, and I actually focused on the function and the use of images to communicate certain things. So one of the things that I have published on is corporate identity in the 16th century and how groups of people who formed societies that were dedicated to a certain saint or a certain devotional function would use images, performance, text, lyrics, songs, all kinds of things to promote themselves and to promote what their society, what their company stood for and what it did. So one of the interesting things about marketing in the 16th century is that it's rather similar to some of the things that we do today. There's a point to it. There's something that we want someone to do in exchange for certain things. In this case, it's not necessarily goods or services, but it's perhaps something like, we want you to come to our society, our group, and understand why we were founded, who we are, what we do in the community, and we'd like you to donate to our cause. So there's a call to action there, but there's a lot that leads up to that call to action. And that includes really elaborate processions through the city with big banners advertising who their particular saint was that they were committed to, or what their society does. And they would advertise that through these ritualistic processions through the street. So I started my journey in academia. I left academia after a few years. I did work as a visiting assistant professor for a year, and I loved that. And then I moved into industry, and I worked for a boutique production house that designed and built e-learning courses. And one of the things that I loved about that was it was a little bit like I had to use marketing language to trick people into learning things that they didn't really want to learn. They didn't really have time to learn, but they kind of needed to learn in order to improve their job function. And so I got more and more interested in marketing through that lens. And yeah, just thinking about different ways to craft languages and images and communication got me really interested in marketing today.
So what attracted you to JumpFly itself?
So I've known about JumpFly for a very long time because my brother has been working here for about 12 or so years. And it was always a little bit of a dream. I was like, boy, I'd really like to work at JumpFly one day. It sounds like they've got a really great company culture. My brother was always happy with the work he was doing. And I just always knew that JumpFly was a great place to work. And so when an opportunity came up and it was time for a career shift, I jumped at the chance.
So has that experience lived up to the hype so far?
100%. Yes.
So what was your first defined role at JumpFly, and do you still hold that title today?
So my first role at JumpFly was account manager, and that is still my role today.
In the time you've been here, how has your role evolved in terms of responsibilities?
So it's evolved quite rapidly to involve elements of my past experience, which include some of the higher levels of engagement management with the client, managing multiple communication streams, and helping to bring that all together for the client. And so that's sort of an additional role that I've taken on in addition to actually managing the accounts. So I also help to do some of the engagement management with the clients.
So has coming in and needing to adapt quickly been challenging, and how did you overcome that challenge?
So I would say coming into JumpFly, having to adapt quickly, I don't see those necessarily as challenges. Yes, they're challenging in and of themselves. They can be difficult. Adaptability is one of the things that I think I am strong in. So for me, it was exciting. It was very exciting to be in a new environment, and even the need to adapt is exciting to me. It's like, oh, there's another new thing. Time to adapt. Let me figure this out and let's go.
Is there a skill that you've developed as an account manager here at JumpFly that maybe you didn't expect you would?
Before I started at JumpFly, I thought I was bad with numbers. Turns out I'm not so bad with numbers. They are not so scary at all. In fact, they tell a story and they provide so much information and so much data. And one of the things that I love about that data is how much it helps our clients and how much it helps them make better informed, data-driven decisions that then come back to us that we can use. So,
have you been able to introduce a unique approach or strategy dealing with your clients that maybe you've shared with other people because it helped them achieve their goals?
I think so. Leaning on my past as an e-learning engagement manager, I have been able to help clients understand the type of messaging that they need to include in videos. I have extensive knowledge of the video production process and how that works, and also the type of communication that works really well in videos. So I think that's a good skill to bring, especially as video ads become more and more important.
You mentioned earlier about JumpFly's culture. Is there something in particular that really stands out to you about it?
Oh, yes, it's the support. So JumpFly culture here is incredibly supportive. Everybody at JumpFly wants you to succeed and they want your clients to succeed. So the overwhelming amount of knowledge that we can tap into, we can bounce ideas off of each other. We can have, other account managers or specialists, really anybody is available to explain something that we may need another perspective on. So that support and that commitment to being, it's optimism, it's support, and it's a real commitment to seeing others exceed within the company and with the clients.
So why do you think clients choose JumpFly?
I think they choose JumpFly because of the unique connections that we build with them. I know that we have clients who've been here for years, and then we've got brand new clients, and the time and the attention that we take to understand their business and its evolving needs and how things change and our quick response times, I'm particularly proud of the fact that we can respond to customers in a very timely manner and get back to them, answer their questions, and we really bring them into the fold of understanding their accounts and what can be done better and what can be optimized. And I think that's one of the nice draws to coming to JumpFly.
So strong communication is vital for account management. What's your approach to keeping client and internal communications smooth and effective?
So for client communication, my first go-to is listening. Always want to listen to the client, understand where they're coming from. And it's not about thinking about what I'm going to say next. It truly is about hearing them and listening to what they're telling me. And from there, it's all about open, honest dialogue, again, in a timely manner, in a way that customers or clients can rely on. So they know they're going to get this type of communication at the end of our meeting. They know they're going to see the action items. They're going to hear when we have completed a task. So it's about establishing confidence with the client so that they know that we're here, we're listening, and we are directly communicating with them about the status of their account and about any action items, anything on our side. We follow up to make sure that they're completing anything that they need to do on their side. And I also take an explanatory approach too. So if there's something that we need from a client, I don't tend to just say we need this or that. I tend to include some reasons why. And I've seen that be a very successful communication process, because if they understand why we might need a certain type of image or creative asset, they're more motivated to provide that, because it could be an expense for them. And we want them to understand why we're asking them to make that expense.
So let's say you're talking to somebody that isn't in advertising at all. What's one thing that you do on a day-to-day basis that might surprise somebody that doesn't know anything about advertising or marketing?
That is a very good question. What might surprise people about advertising? I would say it's probably, maybe they already know this, but for me, it's how incredibly connected it is to everything that we do in our lives and everything that we interact with. There's marketing everywhere, and you can identify it and you can see it. And I love being able to do that. I love being able to see certain things, the way that other advertisers are advertising, what kind of assets they're using. So I think what's surprising is the vast amount of information and data that we can derive from our clients' advertising accounts and from studying the overall digital advertising landscape.
What's a piece of advice you'd give to somebody just starting out in PPC marketing?
Be ready and excited to adapt, for sure, because it is constantly evolving. We get new releases, new features, new ways of doing things all the time. And it's all about taking a moment to really understand what those are about, what the benefits are, potential drawbacks, and really understanding those. So being ready and willing to learn and adapt is the biggest piece of advice.
Where do you see the future of PPC marketing going, and how do you plan to stay ahead of that curve?
In my opinion, I think that the future is going to be heavily focused on creative assets and really being able to communicate what's necessary for a prospective customer of the advertiser to understand about that company. So I think that communicating those messages using their creative assets is going to become more and more important. And I'm excited to support our clients with those creative assets just by lending some ideas, giving them advice, and helping them to understand why they're important as well.
Are there any particular PPC trends that excite you?
Well, I'm very interested to see how voice search comes out and how that affects the landscape. It's one of the things that I find interesting about voice search is its applicability. If it's it's applicable in all cases. I don't think so. I think it's applicable in certain cases. So I'm interested to see where that will come from. I mean, a good example of that would be somebody searching for a very specific part number is probably less likely to use voice search. They're probably just going to copy and paste that. So that wouldn't be a trend that would be applicable to certain clients. So that's one that I'm excited to see kind of pan out.
Can you share a memorable success story from your time at JumpFly that demonstrates our impact on clients in PPC?
Yes, absolutely. So one of my favorite examples is our client who sells reproduction paintings. And because of my past as an art historian, I was able to kind of come into that account and take a look at how the paintings are advertised. And I brought a different kind of approach to it in a way that helps to organize the paintings based on how somebody may search for them for their different functions. So certain paintings, like religious paintings, for example, not a ton of people are looking for a reproduction of an altarpiece for their living room. So organizing the campaign around popular or interesting paintings that would look really great in a modern setting, in a home or an office, has actually proven to be a really good strategy for this particular client, as it has driven additional sales and conversions for that client.
All right, Alyssa, thank you.
You're very welcome. It's been my pleasure.